Hey guys, this is Leah with Scott Leroy Marketing, and in today's tip video, I'm going to show you how you can create templates in DocuSign to be able to utilize in your room to send out if you need to send out a seller's disclosure for your clients to fill in, for example. These steps are great to go through in order to prepare the form once in the e-signature side of your DocuSign account so that you can pull that into your envelope for every transaction moving forward to save you a bunch of times. Okay, so this will take a little bit of time to set this up. However, once it's set up, then you're good to go for the duration of your real estate career and sending out that template. All right, so let's take a look at that firsthand. And so right now I am logged into DocuSign. All right, so where we go to log into DocuSign is realestate.docusign.com. Okay, so again, that's realestate.docusign.com. All right, and that's how you'll access DocuSign. However, I just want to note real quick in this video that if you are going to set up a transaction for the first time, you'll always need to go through command first at agent.kw.com to ensure that your DocuSign Room links up to your opportunity in KW command. So just a quick note on that, if you have questions on how to do a transaction in command, that is on slmtraining.com. I have some great tip videos there on that. All right, so how we go about creating a template here is, so go ahead and click on, it'll either be your initial or headshot on the very top right of DocuSign. And we actually need to switch to e-signature. So if you're still working on getting logged into DocuSign, no worries, feel free to pause the video so you can catch up. And once you're logged in to realestate.docusign.com, go ahead and click on either your initials or headshot in the circle on the top right. And let's switch to e-signature. All right, so now I'm in the e-signature side of DocuSign. So now where we need to navigate is on this top toolbar, you'll see a templates option. Let's go ahead and click on that. Okay, so we see that templates option on the top toolbar. And we're going to want to click on New on the very left-hand side of your screen. So big yellow button, let's go ahead and click New. And then select the first option in that drop-down, Create Template. Okay, so again, we're in the e-signature side of DocuSign. Go ahead and select on Templates on the top of your screen, New, and Create Template, so that first option. And of course, guys, if I lose you at any time, feel free to pause the video. You can even rewind it to catch up and overview it even further. All right, so at the top here, we'll go ahead and name it the template. So if you would like to name it, the form name, or I'm going to pull in, let's say, an offer to purchase template. Actually, instead, I think I'll do a residential property disclosure because I get asked about this a lot. Disclosure template. So what I've noticed from the residential property disclosure templates, and this might not be the same for all of your forms, right? Because all of your forms are slightly different since they're added, by your office and therefore your local board and so forth. Okay, so, but I have been seeing quite often that the residential property disclosures in DocuSign are fillable by the agent. However, when you go to send that form in the envelope in DocuSign, it does not allow your clients to actually fill that out. And of course, they would need to fill out the property disclosure. So let me show you how you can add a property disclosure to your templates, add the forms add the fields so your client can fill out the property disclosure. All right, so at the top, we're just naming that. And then as we scroll down, we'll want to go ahead and add the document to our envelope. So I'll go ahead and click Upload. All right, so this is uploading a form from your computer. So you would need to have this saved on your computer, the form as a PDF. Okay, so you can navigate on your computer and double click on that to pull it in. Okay, so I pulled in the residential property disclosure, okay, for my area. And you can go ahead and do that if you have multiple templates you want to add, right? If you send, let's say, in your listing package that you send to your clients initially, if you send 2 forms, like a listing agreement, and maybe you're working with real estate agents or whatever it may be called in your area, you can add more than 1 form here to create a template for your listing docs. All right, so just a reminder, these are PDFs, and we're coming down to recipients here. So in this recipient, we don't need to actually put in a person's name, right? We're setting up a template. So instead, this would be like seller 1 as the role. So we're just putting in the role, no name or email, right? We don't know that yet. So we have seller 1. I'm going to add recipient for seller 2. And I see that both of them need to sign. Right, so I'm good there. Now I want to add even further. So let's say I want to receive a copy once it's signed, or let's say my transaction coordinator wants to receive a copy. You can go ahead and select the receives a copy and do your transaction coordinator so that they receive a copy once it's been signed. Okay. And you can, of course, fill in this email subject right here. You can see the default. And maybe I could put in a little message right here that says, please let me know if you have any questions at all. Thanks. All right. So now I'll go ahead and click Next. Okay, you can click the Next button either on the bottom or the very top right of your screen to take you to the form. Okay, so again, if you missed that, once you're done adding in the recipients, you can click Next on the top right, that big yellow button, to go to the actual form so we can start editing it. Now, the main thing to note that is very different than Dotloop is on the top left, you'll notice you have seller 1 and seller 2. Okay, so they're both listed there, both roles. When you're actually doing this in a DocuSign Room, it would have your client's name. But what I'd like you to note is the coloring of each one of these dots. So if I go ahead, let's say I want to lay all the text fields, right? So as I scroll down, I see it's a PDF. Okay, the nature of a PDF is that you can't fill it in. So the idea behind this is we can add text fields to this PDF and save it as a template so that when it comes time for your next clients to fill out the seller disclosure, you can simply grab this template and shoot it off to your clients in seconds so that they can fill in the form. Okay. So what I'll need to do here is come on the left-hand side. So under where it has the dots on the top for your client's roles with the colors, you'll notice a bunch of fields going down your left-hand side. So in this case, I want to go ahead and let's say pick text. When I select the text option, it'll start following my mouse. So I can line that up and click to drop it. Of course, you can resize this field by hovering your mouse over the corners to pull that to any size you want. Now, what I really want to point out to you guys is, again, the coloring of this box. So, right, we see 2 colors here. Seller 1 is yellow, seller 2 is blue. And I see that the field here is yellow, indicating to me that this field is assigned to the first seller. If I were to switch to seller 2, I would see all these fields have turned blue. So if I laid one of these, it would be assigned to that client. And that's a great thing, right? If you need your clients to sign something, for example, like right here, right? We can add the signature fields based on which client, right? But to take it back a step before we add signature fields, let's talk about the best way of adding text fields, because this is actually something I've been playing with for a few months to figure out best practices. And so this is what I have found as the best practices. All right, so once you lay a text box, again, we don't want that text box to be really even filled out by the client, right? I want to go ahead and put in the property address. If I leave it yellow like this, DocuSign will mandate seller 1 to fill out this field. I don't want that, right? I'm filling in the property address as the client. So instead, go ahead and click on the field. On the right-hand side, you'll see a couple options here. Required field, we want to uncheck. This is very important, this part. So notice, right, when I click or uncheck required fields, it turns it from yellow to clear, right? Indicating it will no longer be a required field for that client. And I'm going to mark it as read only. Okay, I don't want the client to fill that out. I want to fill that out, okay, as the agent. So we've required field and read only. Now, this actually, a bunch of agents have pointed out that when you do this practice and go to Recipient Preview, only seller 1 would be able to see this box since it's technically a yellow box. If you want both of your clients, if there are more than one client on this transaction, you have to do this extra step. You'll need to go ahead and, again, click on the text box. So anytime you click on the text box, you'll see this editing pane on the right-hand side. And actually, let's come on down to collaboration. You'll want to make sure that you click on Recipients Can Collaborate so that both of your clients can see this field. Okay, so again, the 3 main fields that you need to point your attention to on this right-hand side. Once you click on the field, we need to uncheck that it's a required field. We need to check that it's read-only, so they can't fill it out. And then we want to come under collaboration and mark that as recipients can collaborate so both of your clients can see what's in that field. Now, while that was kind of a pain, totally with you, we can now save this as a custom field so that we don't have to go through and toggle those settings every time. We can just lay a custom field that has those settings built in. Okay, so let's say I clicked on Save a Custom Field on the right-hand side. All right, and I want to save this as, let's say, my template text field, whatever you'd like to name it. All right, you can add an initial value. I'm going to take that out because I just don't want it to be saved in my custom field, okay? But if you wanted something to actually be written in the text box automatically when you added it, you could go ahead and fill that in here. So it already has these settings that I wanted. Required is unchecked, read only is checked. Okay, and as I come on down, I'll go ahead and click Save. Okay, so we don't have to do a whole lot there. We really just have to click Save. So now, where those sit, on the left-hand side, okay, let's take our attention now if we need to add more of those custom fields that we just added. On the left-hand side here, you'll see a bunch of different fields on the gray toolbar. Typically, we're always on the standard field. So typically, you're always looking at the top option here with all these standard fields. But on the gray toolbar, we can come down to custom fields. And we can add that one that we have added in. So let's say I name that one, right, the template text field for both clients, whatever makes sense to you. So I can see when I click that, it's the same exact length, the text box. I can see that the settings are correct on the right-hand side. Okay. However, I do want to point out to you guys that for whatever reason, it looks like you always need to come down and check when a recipient can collaborate. So again, this right here is necessary if you want both clients to be able to see the field, which typically you would. All right, so make sure if that's the case, it is that extra step that you need to click it. All right, but that is a fix for that issue there. All right, aside from that, we can go ahead and drop even further fields here. So I'm coming back to standard fields. All right, so the custom fields is right under it. So it's all in that gray toolbar on the left-hand side. So for standard fields here, now I could go in and add in the signature boxes. So I'll want to add a signature box for my seller 1 and seller 2. So I want buyer 2 to sign there, and I'm switching the top drop down, right? The blue ones are assigned to seller 2, so I know seller 2 will be able to sign that. And now as I switch to seller 1, I'll notice all these fields are now yellow. So I can select the signature field, lay it where it needs to go, and click to drop it. Okay, so I can see right here, just by quickly looking at it, that my seller 1 and seller 2 will be able to sign that. And they will be required, right? Anytime that's solid color like that, that means it's a required field. Your client will be mandated by the system to fill in that field. All right, and what I've seen as well, these signature fields are not time and date stamped. So you'll need to get the date signed field on the left-hand side to add that as well. Okay, I know that's slightly different than dot loops. I just want to point that out. So add the date signed, right? And just notice how I am switching back and forth to get to the correct client so I can drop that. All right, if it's a field that your client will need to fill out, let's talk about that, right? There's a lot of those on the property disclosure. So you will need to select which client will be filling out the form, typically first. All right, you'll notice, right, it does have that collaboration feature. However, you'll want to, let's say, let seller one know, hey, I have assigned you to fill out the form. Please open and fill out the form first and then sign it, and then have your spouse or seller two go in and sign the form. All right, and of course, you can give them the ability to collaborate, all right, if they want to work on it together. But that tends to work the best where you allow or tell one client to fill out the form first, have them sign it, and then have the second client sign it from their email. Okay, so if it is fields that your clients will need to fill out, so on the left-hand side here, let's say I'll add a text box. I really don't have to do a whole lot here. It's automatically good to go. If you want it to be required, you're good, right? If it's solid blue, solid colored, that means it's required. If it's an optional field, so what it means by required is it won't let them finish the document until they fill in that form. So if it's more of an optional field, you can of course uncheck it. It will let them fill out the form, but it will not mandate them to fill out the form. Okay, so of course you can play with these two options, requiring your client to fill it out, or if it's a read-only. You can of course lay the text boxes here, check boxes. And of course my form looks a little different, right? If your form will look different if you're not in North Carolina, so that's totally fine. But I just want to give you a heads up that you can go ahead if your box or if your form requires check boxes, you can go ahead and lay those. And just a heads up, right? Because you'll notice that if you lay a checkbox, it then stops following your mouse. You can lay multiple at once, multiple checkboxes by holding Shift and then clicking. So if you click on the checkbox option, hold Shift on your computer, on your keyboard. Been talking for too long today, apparently. Hold Shift, then click. You'll notice it will start following your mouse, right? So I can continue laying these checkboxes by holding Shift on my keyboard to lay all of those down. All right, guys, so you get the idea, right? You'll want to go through the entire form, add the text boxes, okay? You'll want to add any text fields. Signature fields are a big one, of course. So this is a PDF, so you will need to add in all of these fields onto your form, all right? When you're working with interactive forms in your DocuSign Room, you won't have to take this step. But again, I have seen this as a necessary step to allow your clients to actually fill in the property disclosure. So let's take a look at now applying that. So if I click Save and Close on the top right, so save and close, I can see that template. So I can always come back to edit it, excuse me. But now I'm going over to my DocuSign Room so I can show you guys how you would actually apply a template. All right, if you want to do this with me, feel free to pause the video so you can get into your DocuSign Room, or you can just watch on here. Okay, so where I'm going to go is this envelope section. This is a little funky. I bet you expected me to start in the documents, and I did too when I first learned how to do this. So instead, we go into the envelope section. So to pull in templates, we always go to the envelope section. Right? If there's a noteworthy moment of this class, that would be it, if you want to jot that down. Because it's kind of weird, kind of funky. We'll go to envelopes first, and we'll go to new on the top right. Okay, that was a little fast. I clicked on New on the very top right under the Envelope section. All right, it's a big blue button that says New on the top right, indicating you're creating a new envelope. Now, if you're very confused about what the word envelope means, all right, try to think of it like snail mail. Right? We literally have an envelope. What I'm going to do is I'm now going to select a form that I want to stuff in that envelope, and then add the recipients to that envelope as well. So in this case, I'll click on Use a Template. All right, so from the envelope, Use a Template is the option we'll want to pick. And it will take you over to your templates here. Okay, I've been practicing it with it. That's why I have a bunch of blank ones up top. All right, so you shouldn't know your template should be near the top there, but if you need to scroll, feel free. I can see the template that I have created here, and the date I created that, so I know it's the most current one. And I click Add Selected. So now I see that that property disclosure has been added from my templates. I'm going to change the name. I'm just going to add, I like to add the form name, residential property disclosure, so I know what I sent in this envelope, just for my reference. So now that we have the form added in, and we need to go ahead and add the recipients, right? You wouldn't put an envelope in the mail without recipients on the front, same concept. So PreTag Roles here is what I'll select. That's generally what you want to do, guys, is from the add recipients, you can select any of these roles if you want to do PreTag Roles or the room participants or email address. Okay, but if you do have your clients in the details of your room, which I'm not sure I do, I do. All right, you can go ahead and click the PreTag Roles. That's typically the easiest, so that you can tell tell DocuSign who is seller 1 and who is seller 2 from that dropdown. All right, so we're picking from the dropdown who our clients are. All right, and if you're not seeing your clients from that dropdown, it probably just means you don't have your clients added to the details section of your DocuSign room. And that's okay. You can also click Add Recipients and add from email address. Then that's totally fine as well. All right. So now that I have them selected, I'll go ahead and click Add Selected, and I can see my clients here. Okay, and if I want to add a recipient so that my transaction coordinator would be CC'd as well, I could do that. I would probably do that by add by email address, so I could add my transaction coordinator and give her the ability to view that or receive the copy. Now, let me show you that. So if I added by email address, let's say this is my Tammy Transactions. We have an email address of, let's say, all right, she needs to receive a copy of that. All right, and what I want to actually do is I'm going to change this to a 2 here. I want my transaction coordinator to receive a copy of the form after seller 1 and seller 2 have signed it. So if I give her a 2, she won't receive the form until after the client signed the form, then she'll receive a copy. So that's very helpful as well. All right, if you would like to edit the email subject and message, and click Next on the top right. Okay, so now that I have added that, right, this is that template that we created. If I scroll on down, I'll start to see all of those fields that I filled out. So now, right, I'm in the midst of a transaction. Of course it's time sensitive, because when is real estate not? I'm in a hurry, and now I can just shoot off this template without having to do anything except maybe fill in the property address, okay, and the owner's names, okay? So I might have to fill out a couple things, and then I'll scroll through, make sure all looks good, and click Send, okay? I always like to look at the recipient preview, just a heads up on the very top right, to make sure I set it up correctly, that both my clients can see the fields and sign the fields. So on the top left here, I can see who I'm viewing that as, if it's Tony Stark or Pepper Potts. Okay, those are my 2 clients here. All right, and I can click on that to control which fields the client is going to be able to see, okay? And sign for that matter. Now, once you're happy with the preview of this, I can go ahead and X out of that on the very top right. And you don't have to do this step, guys. It just really lets me sleep better at night knowing I set this up correctly. So you can always see that on the recipient preview, and then go ahead and click Send. And that will send over to your clients and let you know as soon as that's been filled out. All right, guys, so that is an update on how to create templates in DocuSign. Okay, that collaborate checkbox was the big update. on this video. So if you have any questions on that, please do not hesitate to reach out to me, support@scottleroymarketing.com, and let us know if you have any DocuSign questions at all. All right, guys, I hope this helped, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.